Greetings. We continue today in part 3 of the opening of the fifth seal from Revelation chapter 6, verses 9 through 11. Some might protest saying that we're placing martyrs in the first half of the 7-year period. And they're protesting because they insist that all must be martyred in the second half of the second-year period. But to this line of thought, God's Word offers two major things for consideration. One is the attitude and conduct of the Romans toward Christianity. Look to Daniel chapter 12, verses 11 and 12 for the other. So I offer a quotation that will give us the attitude of the Romans toward Christians. It's from a letter from Pliny to Trajan, dated AD 112, and it will give the summation of the Roman attitude and conduct toward Christianity, which is also documented by scriptural references. I quote, "It is my rule, sire, to refer you in matters where I am uncertain. For who can better direct my hesitation or instruct my ignorance? I was never present at the trial of any Christians. Therefore, I do not know what are the customary penalties. I have hesitated a great deal on the question whether there should be any distinction of ages, whether the weak should have the same treatment as the more robust, whether those who recant should be pardoned, or whether a man who has ever been a Christian should gain nothing by ceasing to be such, whether the name itself, even if innocent of crime, should be punished, or only the crimes attaching to that name. Meanwhile, this is the course I have adopted in the case of those brought before me as Christians. I ask them if they are Christians. If they admit it, I repeat the question a second and third time, threatening capital punishment. If they persist, I sentence them to death." End quote. Trajan's reply, and I quote, "You have taken the right line, my dear Pliny, in examining the cases of those denounced to you as Christians, for no hard and fast rule can be laid down of universal application. They're not to be sought out. If they're informed against and the charge is proved, they are to be punished, with this reservation, that if anyone denies that he is a Christian and actually proves it, that is, by worshiping our gods, he shall be pardoned as a result of his recantation, however suspect he may have been with respect to the past." End quote. This is from Price, page 160. Second, the concluding verses of Daniel chapter 12 introduce us to two time frames: 30 days and 45 days added to the 1200 days composing the tribulation. Again, technically, these 1260 days are the second half of the 7-year period, the 70th week of captivity discussed in Daniel, which the Jewish people owe God. Therefore, one must conclude that the two noted periods of 30 plus 45, or 75 days in total, must either be a prefix or a suffix to the official tribulation, the last 3.5 years of the 7-year period. Traditionally, what little comment has been made attempts to place them as an addendum, as a suffix to the tribulation. However, the chronology of Daniel 11 would allow them to be a precursor, a prefix to it. Daniel chapter 11, 24 through 28 denotes a peace accord which accomplishes a transfer of wealth. "He shall enter peaceably, even upon the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He will scatter among them the prey, and spoil and riches. Yea, he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south, with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yea, that feed on the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many slain fall down. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and to speak lies at one table. But it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land. Daniel 11:29 through 30 denotes the cessation of the daily sacrifice and the installation of the abomination of desolation. Daniel 11:29, at the time appointed he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not come as the former or as the latter. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him, therefore shall he be grieved, and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even at that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Now the beast is continued 1260 days after he receives the deadly wound and has been healed, causing the world to marvel or to be amazed after the beast. And we'll find more details about this as they come later in the book. But I trust we comprehend the prevailing attitude of the late Roman Empire, which is growing about us even today, would allow for a public policy of peace toward Judaism and like religions, but at the same time there could be the enforcement of a relatively private policy of policing Christians through the judicial system to their destruction. For instance, it is right now a felony offense to protest abortion in front of an abortion clinic. Add to this the highly praised 3 strikes and you're outlaw, and you conclude that right now in America, a person could be sent to prison for life for nothing more than speaking out abortion 3 times in front of an abortion clinic. We publicly proclaim that we defend the First Amendment right of free speech as justification for all kinds of immoral speech. But we would make felons out of those who dare to stand for the truth of God's word on such politically incorrect issues as abortion, homosexuality, claiming that it violates some mythical, quote, separation of church and state. Now, I'm not paranoid. I'm teaching you the truth of God's word, that we might pray, prepare, and labor as long as God in his mercy delays taking us out in the rapture, and begins his last installment of chastening upon Jacob or the nation of Israel, and executing his wrath upon the unbelievers of this world system. How much longer will he wait? Well, that was the question. And his answer was, just a little season. Are you and I ready? Because ready or not, Jesus is coming, and he's coming soon.